If everyone would please take their seats, please. If the committee members would please take their seats, we're ready to get started. Welcome, members and guests. Today is Tuesday, March 30th, 2021. I hereby call the local committee to order. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Representatives Calfee, Carr, Carter, Chisholm, Gant, Helton, Hodges, Holsclaw, Leatherwood, Love, Manis, Miller, Moody, Moon, Reedy, Rudd, Sexton, Shaw, Williams, Vice Chairman Wright, Chairman Crawford.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any personal orders from the committee members? Seeing none, we're ready to get started. Today we have 21 bills on the calendar. We will move as quickly as possible, but be as efficiently as possible. The first two items on the bill, on the agenda are my bills, and we will move them to the Hill without objection. To the Hill. Item number 3, we'll start with House Bill 772 by Vice Chairman Russell. Got a proper motion? And second on the bill, Chairman Russell, you are recognized on your bill, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and committee. I do have an amendment.
Please tell me your amendment number, please.
The amendment I've got is 4347.
That is correct. Do I have a motion on the amendment? Proper motion and second on the amendment. You, Representative Russell, you're recognized on your amendment, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. The amendment makes the bill. The first section just defines the volunteer firefighters. The second one just clarifies 30 hours and receive $600 for completing 30 hours of in-service. And the third section is the effective date.
Is there any discussion on the amendment? We have a question on the amendment. We're ready to vote. All those in favor of amendment 4347 going on the bill, say aye. Opposed, no. The amendment is on the bill. You're recognized on your bill as amended, sir.
The amendment makes the bill. I renew my motion.
Question on the bill. We are ready to vote on House Bill 772 as amended. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Your bill moves on to Finance, Ways, and Means. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chairman. I do have another one in this committee if you'd entertain doing that.
Without objection, we will move over to item number 8. No, not item number 8, number 14. Let me get over there. This is a local bill. Do I have a motion? Properly motioned in second. Representative Russell, do you have a vote of 2/3 resolution from your governing body?
I do, Chairman.
Thank you, sir. You're recognized on House Bill 1615.
Thank you, Chairman and committee. What House Bill 1516 does is create staggered terms for the office for members of the City Council of the City of Loudon.
Got a question on the bill. We're ready to vote. All those in favor of House Bill 1615, please say aye. Those opposed, no. Representative Russell, your bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you all.
Just for the record, we have Chairman Carter is excused today. Item number 4 on the calendar is by Chairman Vaughn. It has been rolled 1 week. Without objection, we will roll that bill 1 week. Item number 5 on our calendar, House Bill 1529 by Chairman Powers. This is a local bill. See here? We will roll this to the end of the calendar. Item number 6, Chairman Halford, House Bill 1612. Got a proper motion and second on the bill. Chairman Halford, do you have a vote of 2/3 resolution from your governing body accompanying this?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a vote of 2/3 from your governing body?
Yes, we do.
Thank you, sir. You're recognized on your bill.
This is a local bill brought to me by the Milan Special School District. And what this does is actually reduce their property tax rate from $2.13, $2.16, from $2.23 down to $2.16.
Any questions on the bill? We have a question from one of the members. We'll Leader Gant, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Thank you, Chairman Halford. Tell me what is the reason why this has to come before us if they're reducing the tax rate?
Well, I asked that same question, but I was just told that just is the way that it's done, regardless of whether it's is an increase or a decrease, that it has to seek our, probably because it's a special school district, you know, and everything that they do has to go through this body.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
Chairman Williams, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Halford. I just want to congratulate you on being one of the first guys to lower taxes in the state this year. I think it's a great opportunity for your local community to be able to relieve the tax burden on its local citizens. So appreciate you bringing this bill.
I always do the best I can for my constituents every time, sir.
Is there any more questions on the bill? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of House Bill 1612, please say aye. Opposed, no. Chairman Halford, your bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, sir.
Let the record reflect that Representative Calfee is now here. No problem, sir. You're not tardy. You're here. Item number 7 on the calendar is House Bill 1613 by Chair Lady Littleton. Got a proper motion and second on the bill. Chair Lady Littleton, you are recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is brought to me from the White Bluff City. It's to change their charter on voting for, they want to change for every 2 years, the city councilman, where they'll rotate every 2 years. And they want the city judge, they changed the qualifications to serve the city judge. Individual be 30 years of age and shall be qualified to practice law in the state of Tennessee and shall, before his election, have been a resident of the state of Tennessee for 5 years and Dixon County for 1 year and shall be elected by the qualified voters of the town.
Any questions for Chair Lady Littleton? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1613. All those in favor? Okay. Representative Miller, you're recognized.
Here, I know, sitting low. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I support your bill. Just a question, I was reading where it has the language, increase the salaries of the mayor and the council members. Is it necessary that each and every time you all want to increase the salaries, you have to come before the legislative bodies to get the approval?
Chair Lady Littleton?
They just asked me to carry this and put it in the resolution, so I did. So I don't know.
Oh, okay. I mean, I certainly support it, but I was just,
Representative Miller, would you like to go out of session and hear from legal?
yes, I guess so. Thank you, Mr.
Without
Chairman.
objection, we're out of session. Legal, you're recognized.
Thank you. I'll be brief. Matt Mundy from Legal. Just to answer your question and back to Leader Gant's question, these were passed by the General Assembly and by private acts. And so they have to be amended by private act. And so that's what we're doing under these circumstances. Thank you.
Any questions for legal? Seeing none, we're back in session.
you.
Representative Shaw, you're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I had the answer to the question, but he's right.
You're a little late. Sorry,
Because
sir.
my folks have sent a private act, it'll probably be coming next week, do the same thing, so they have to come through us to do that.
That's
Yes.
correct. Just make sure you got a vote of 2/3 resolution from your governing body. Is there any more questions for Chair Lady Littleton? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1613. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Chair Lady Littleton, your bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the education. Thank you.
Item number 8 on our calendar, Chair Lady Littleton has asked that this be rolled 1 week. Without objection, we will roll it 1 week. Item number 9 is a local bill by Chairman Wendell, House Bill 1607. Got a proper motion and second on the bill. Chairman Wendell, you're recognized, sir.
Members and Chairman, this is simply a charter change for the town of Livingston. I appreciate your consideration.
Is there do you have a vote of 2/3 resolution from your local governing
I
body?
do. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I don't think my office has received that.
I'll submit that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there any questions for the chairman? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1607. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, no. Your bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Kent Calfee in particular. Thank you.
Item number 10 on our calendar today is House Bill 1462 by Representative Cochran. We have a proper motion in second. Representative Cochran, you're recognized on your bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, House Bill 1462 comes to us from the Comptroller's Office. Essentially what it does, the Government Accountability Standards Board, Accounting Standards Board, they now classify a lease as debt. And so what this does is if a local government enters into a lease for over $100,000, it goes to the comptroller for them to look over it. We've had some instances throughout the state where companies have talked local governments into very large leases for a large amount of money. That ended up costing those local governments quite a bit in interest payments where a traditional loan would have been very low in interest. So the comptroller just kind of wants to review these and make sure our local governments are getting the most bang for their buck.
Representative Moon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, sponsor, for doing away with creative financing across this state. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any more questions on the bill? Seeing none, I think we're ready to vote. Without objection, all those in favor of House Bill 1462, moving on to calendar and rules, please say aye. Those opposed, no. Your bill's moving on, Representative Cochran.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Item number 11 is Representative Cochran, House Bill 1558. Do I have a motion? Properly motion in second. Representative Cochran, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And what House Bill 1558 accomplishes is currently our cities and our state, they have abilities under the Junkyard Control Act to regulate scrap yards. This gives county governments that same ability, and really it provides a more narrow way for them to address this very specific issue rather than do a comprehensive county zoning. But if they're having issues with scrap yards, again, this would give them the same power as a city or the state to deal with that very specific issue. But with that, I'll pause for any questions.
Is there any questions? Seeing none, I think we're ready to vote. All in favor of House Bill 1558, moving on, please say aye. Those opposed, no. Your bill moves on to calendar and rules, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and committee.
Item number 12 on our agenda today is House Bill 616 by Representative Rudder. We have a proper motion in second. We do have an amendment on this bill. Representative Rudder, when you get settled in, if you don't mind to give us that amendment number.
Good afternoon, Chairman and committee. The amendment number is 4062.
That is correct. Got a proper motion and second on the amendment. Representative Rudder, you're recognized on your amendment. Make sure your mic is on, ma'am.
All this amendment does is replace the word, a definition, the word indirect interest to align with code.
Is there we have a question on the amendment. All those in favor of amendment number 4062 going on the bill, please say aye. Those opposed, no. Amendment is now on the bill. You're recognized on your bill as amended, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a bill that I carried last year and it passed this committee. This year, I've worked with the Comptroller's Office more extensively to make it a better bill. And what this bill does is revise the conflict of interest provision for the County Financial Management System, Act of 81. The conflict of interest language in the Act of 81 is broader than than similar conflicts of interest laws, as it applies to all county employees, even those that have no direct decision-making. They have no decision-making authority as to purchasing. This bill would amend the conflict of interest provision so that it would only apply to county employees who are actually involved in the purchasing process. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Is there any questions for Representative Rudder? Chairman Williams, you're recognized.
Thank you, Representative Rudder. I know you worked very hard on this subject matter, but I did have one clarifying question. Is a county commissioner considered one of these entities, or are they excluded from this?
They would be that would be a direct conflict of interest. If, yes, they are one of the ones that would be considered a conflict.
You're recognized.
So in the instance of if I were a county commissioner and my wife's business had a contract that was negotiating with the county commission, that couldn't happen based upon your?
Representative Rudder?
I think that's where the indirect part of this legislation comes in. The county commissioner would have to let it be known that his wife was involved in a contract. So that's where the indirect part of this legislation comes in.
Chairman Williams, you're recognized.
In the instance that a county commissioner is an actual county employee also, would they also have to state that prior to voting on any
Yes.
expenditure?
Yes.
Representative Rudder?
Yes, excuse me.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Rudder. I really like this bill. I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Shaw, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the instance of I just want to understand this, in the instance of a county commissioner having a spouse who worked for county government, how would it affect them?
That has nothing to do with purchasing. Has to do with someone that maybe, that I don't think that has anything to do with this piece of
Only-
legislation.
Representative Shaw?
Only for purchasing?
Yes, this would be like.
Representative Rudder,
if
you're
a county-
recognized.
Excuse me, getting
You're
ahead of
all right.
myself.
You're okay.
If a county commissioner's wife, let's say, worked at Lowe's, then that is an indirect interest. So
Okay.
that would be okay. And that's what this bill seeks to correct, because in the past, she could not have done that, because that would be a direct conflict.
Representative Shaw?
I was really enjoying what you were saying, if I heard it right. You saying this bill fixed that part where if there's a county commissioner or he or she and the spouse, say it's a teacher,
Mhm.
it corrects that it doesn't affect that at all. That's what you're saying.
Representative Rudder?
That's originally how this bill originated. I had a little paint store in my county that could not sell paint to the school because his wife was a school teacher.
Okay.
So we removed the word employee out of this code at first. And then we have gone back and added indirect and direct interest that more clearly defines who would be involved in the decision-making versus those who are not.
Representative Shaw, follow up?
Yes, sir. I just want to understand for the record, so it does not affect what you just explained, right?
Representative Rudder?
No, sir. It does not affect a wife of a county commissioner working for the school system.
Any other questions at this time? Representative Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chairman, are we on the amendment?
No, we've already voted on the amendment.
On the amendment.
You're recognized.
I'm reading this language, such person shall not have indirect interest in the purchase of supplies, materials, equipment, or contractual services for the county unless the person publicly acknowledge the interest. So my question is, if they acknowledge publicly the interest, does that mean at that point they could sell supplies, materials, equipment, et cetera?
Representative Rudder, you're recognized.
Yes, that speaks to the indirect involvement in purchasing. And they would have no indirect involvement. So once they clarified, or like you said, to the county mayor or whatever, that they had an interest, then that would be okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, just to bring us where we're at here, we voted on the amendment. The bill is amended. We're taking questions on that. Representative Rudder, I also have a note here that you have speakers. Do you still have someone that would like to speak to the committee?
Not unless we have any questions from the committee that I've not been able to answer.
Okay. Any other questions on the bill? Question is being called on the bill. All those in favor of House Bill 616 as amended, please say aye. Those opposed, no. Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Chairman and committee.
Item 13 on today's calendar is House Bill 714 by Representative Hurt. I have a motion and it's properly seconded. Representative Hurt, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 714, I'm going to read through this so the committee understands all the facets of what we're dealing with. It's pretty straightforward, but it states if a municipality or county has or implements a personnel policy that places an employee on leave for a period of time immediately following an arrest of the employee, the municipality or county shall implement a policy of restoring back pay to the employee if the charges are dropped or the employee is found not guilty of the charges. The requirement does not apply if the employee pleads guilty to the charges or enters a plea agreement on the charges or separates from employment voluntarily before the charges are dropped or before the employee is found not guilty, or if the employee is administratively terminated for a reason other than the arrest. It also goes on to state that public records are maintained solely for the purposes of documenting the administrative action and submissions in litigation. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Is there any questions for Representative Hurt? Seeing none, I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor of House Bill 714, please say aye. Those opposed, no. Your bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Item 14, we've dealt with. Item 15 is House Bill 1386 for Representative Todd. He has asked that this be rolled 1 week without objection. It will be rolled 1 week. Item 16 on our calendar today is House Bill 1276 by Representative Griffey. Do I have a motion? Proper motion and second on the bill. I see here that we do have an amendment on the bill. Representative Griffey, can you please give us your amendment number?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's 4656.
That is correct, sir. Do I have a motion on the amendment? Do I have a motion on the amendment? Proper motion. Is there a second? Second. The amendment's now before us. You're recognized on your amended, sir.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. What this bill does, it would prohibit state election commissions, secretary of states, coordinator of elections, as well as county election commissions or administrators of commission from accepting outside private funding in regard to elections. It would not prohibit nominal expenditure such as advertising, donation for the use of a voting location, volunteer labor, pens and sanitizers or items of that nature. But that's pretty much all what the bill does.
We have any questions on the amendment? Representative Shaw?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Sponsor, be a little more detailed about who could accept these funds and who could not. And I ask you to do that because I got a call just this weekend from a person who wanted to donate some money for just people getting educated to vote. So could you just be a little more specific at who would be able to accept these funds and who would not?
Representative Griffey, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the question, Representative. What it would do is that state election commission, the secretary of state or coordinator of elections may only accept funding from appropriations of public funds from the United States government, the state of Tennessee, or a county or municipality of the state. The state election commission, secretary of state, coordinator of elections shall not expend any grant, gifts, or funding from private persons, corporations, organizations, or political parties unless such acceptance or expenditures is approved by the Speaker of the Senate or the House of Representatives. So if we're not there, the Speaker of the Senate or the House could.
Representative Shaw?
Speaker, so if this person donate to my election commission, then it would have to come through either a Speaker of the House or the Senate.
Representative Griffey, you're recognized.
Yes, that's my understanding how the language would read.
Okay. And I appreciate you bringing this, and I think I understand where you're going, but I think because of what they're trying to do back in my district, I don't really know if I can support this or not. I appreciate you bringing it, but I just need to understand what you're doing. Thank you.
Representative Griffey, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate your concern and some folks that want to help with election matters. In response to your question directly, I don't think it would prohibit the folks that want to donate and get people educated, if they want to have their own education program, I just don't think under the way the statute would read, and I would of course refer to legal, but that they wouldn't be able to donate money to the election commission and then the election commission have the education program or something. That's the way I understood the statute.
Representative Shaw,
Can we refer to legal on this for a moment, sir?
we can. Without objection, we'll go out of session to hear from legal.
Matt Mundy from Legal. I'll be really quick. It's a bifurcated process. So if it's private funds going to state election officials, then it would have to be approved by the two speakers. If it's private money going to local election officials, it'd have to be approved by the Secretary of State, and they'd probably have a rulemaking process for that. If you're talking about donations to between two private parties, for instance, like a nonprofit who has a get out the vote drive or something like that, this bill would not impact that at all.
Does that satisfy your question? Any questions for legal while we're out of session? Seeing none, we'll go back into session. We are still on the amendment 4656. Seeing no other questions, we're ready to vote on the amendment. All those in favor of amendment 4656, please say aye.
It's fine. I can wait after the amendment. That's fine.
All those in favor of amendment 4656, please say aye. All those against, no. The amendment is now on the bill. Representative Griffey, you're recognized on the bill, and we do have some questions if you're ready. First is Representative Ron Williams, Chairman Williams.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Representative Griffey. I think this is a good idea. I think what your bill, correct me if I'm wrong, what your bill would do is keep outside groups or internal groups from investing or contributing monies to our local election administrators and their offices, and therefore sanitizing the process as it relates to how our elections are conducted. It doesn't prohibit anyone, therefore, from contributing. They just have to get approval to do that. Is that correct?
Representative, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you for that. And that's my understanding.
All right, thank you.
Next on our list is Leader Gant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Griffey, for legislation. Can you give me an example of where we accept private money in our election commissions now?
Representative Griffey?
It's my understanding in this past election cycle, there was a private entity that wanted to make donations. It's my understanding the Secretary of State's office issued a memo encouraging all the election commissioners not to accept outside private money because probably for main reason, the appearance of impropriety. And I think most refused except for one county election commission accepted funding. That's my understanding. That's secondhand information. I don't have any firsthand information.
Representative Leader Gant.
So as the law is written now, local election commissions can receive and accept outside private money.
Representative Griffey?
That's my understanding. And I would, of course, defer to legal again.
Follow up? You want to hear from legal? Without objection, we'll go out of session to hear from legal.
Yes, I believe that is the case currently. They could accept private funds. And I know that they have, or at least I've read, that they have in other jurisdictions outside of Tennessee.
Representative Gant? Okay. Without objection, we'll go back into session. Leader Gant, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this piece of legislation that you have would absolutely prohibit any outside influence of private money from influencing our elections. Is that correct?
Representative Griffey?
Unless it's approved by the speakers for state election commissions and the local election commissions, as the legal referred to just minutes ago.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Leader Gant. Representative Hodges.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just real quick, what would keep the Secretary of State from, or what would keep us from politicizing this? You know, what would keep the Secretary of State from approving one party's contributions potentially or members one party's contributions to another? Is there a preventative measure to make sure that we don't just say this political party can, this county commission, we're going to give this political party, these county commissioners, all the contributions they want, but we're going to tell this political party they're going to get denied every time? Representative Griffey?
Well, that's the intent of the legislation, is that so we don't have even the appearance of impropriety by allowing private groups to, target and give to this election commission or that election commission. Because right now there's no control over who can accept funding or who cannot. And by running it through our speakers of the Senate and the House, and by running it through the Secretary of State's office, they'll be able to ensure, like, look, this is going to have to be fair across the board. And I believe they're probably going to turn down outside funding unless it's directly related. It's nominal things, or offering a voting location. Churches and other places do that. So
Follow up.
And I get where you're going with that. And, with this speaker, I would feel confident that would be the case. But what happens when we have a speaker that doesn't behave in that manner and is good to play the game and again, go back to politicizing the issue and giving one group money while not allowing the other group to have money?
Representative Griffey, you recognized.
I think that would probably invite litigation. If you're particularly if you're holding a role like that and determining who's going to get money and so forth, if you use that discretion in some unfair manner, you're going to subject yourself to litigation, would be my guess.
Follow up.
But this bill doesn't clearly define that, and I guess that's the problem, because litigation be hard to. It'd make it one bit harder if this bill doesn't define some kind of parameters that the speakers and the Secretary of States would have to go by, right?
Representative Griffey.
Well, it would ban, shall not accept any gifts, grants, funding from private persons, corporations, or organizations unless acceptance expenditures approved by the Speaker of the House and Senate. And then when it's talking about for the locals, and it also does not prohibit voting for location voting purposes, volunteer labor, pens, sanitizers, nominal items. I think the intent is clear in there that this isn't to be used to supplement our funding. It's there to prevent funding from coming in unless it's for voting locations, sanitizers, pens, that kind of thing.
Last follow up.
But as far as county commissioners, how does that protect county commissions? Again, there's not a clear cut definition of prohibit politicizing this, and so I agree with what you're doing here. I just want some parameters that protect politicizing the.
Representative Griffey.
Well, with the locals, it has to be approved by the Secretary of State's office, and they would have to use that discretion fairly. I don't think I think it's clearly in the intent of the law is the law has to apply equally and fairly to everybody. You can't disfavor one political party over the other. If anybody does that, they're going to get sued, in my opinion.
Representative Miller, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You've actually answered the question. Based on this bill, what you're saying, the Speaker, Secretary of State, Lieutenant Governor, I'm assuming, can pick and choose winners. They can. In other words, people could, and commissions could continue to accept outside monies, but it has to be approved by those three entities. Is that yes or no?
Representative Griffey.
I think the bill says yes. There's an exception for the if both the Lieutenant Governor and the Speaker approve it. But again, that approval is subject to the requirements that they cannot unfairly favor one party or the other. They're going to get sued if they do that. So if I were either one of those and there's going to be even a potential claim about it, I would simply refuse it. And this is, I think the reason this was put in there is to give them an extra relief valve if some special circumstances come up and everybody's on agreement that we ought to allow this particular funding for whatever purpose it is, because there's so many variables out there in the real world.
Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did this bill originate with Secretary of State's office, Lieutenant Governor, Speaker? Where did this bill originate?
Representative Griffey?
I had the idea I wanted to protect our elections from undue influence from one political party or private donation. So I came up with it, but then I worked with the Secretary of State's office on the language, and they're the ones that actually came up with this amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next on our list is Chairman Moon. Passed. Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll be very brief. I thank you for letting me speak again. And I'm trying to find a way, I get this, and I'm trying to find a way to support this, but I think as it has been said, seem like there are some loopholes. Can you explain what process would you go through to get to the speaker if you had to do that? Because you just don't call the speakers up, somebody out in our district or whatever, just call up the speaker and get his or her attention. So what process would we use to do that?
Representative Griffey?
I would defer to legal, but it's my understanding this would be funds that someone, a private entity wants to donate to the State Election Commission, the Secretary of State, the coordinator of elections, state officials. That's when this process would kick in related to the speaker or lieutenant governor
Now that
both
I've been
having
through
to
everybody,
agree.
you wanna speak again?
And implicit in that is it can only be applied fairly. If you favor one party or other, you've just opened up a can for a lawsuit. And then for the locals, it has to go through the Secretary of State's approval process. And again, they're subject to the same requirements to apply the law equally.
Representative Shaw?
So the Secretary of State would carry it to the speakers or the lieutenant governor if it needed to go there, but you'd start by applying at the Secretary of State level.
Representative Griffey?
I'll defer to legal, but that's my understanding.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Representative Leader Gant, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Why do we want to accept money from outside influence in a situation where our elections are involved here? I support the idea and I'm there, but it's this last caveat where we're allowing exceptions and like Representative Hodges brought up, I have all the confidence in, Lieutenant Governor McNally and Speaker Sexton. Not worried about our current posture, but I'm worried about future posture of other people that hold those offices that may not have the character that these two men hold. And as we all know, money does influence elections. And I'm very nervous about that. If you could, expand on
Representative
that.
Griffey, you're recognized.
Thank you. And look, I share your concerns. And this is the language the Secretary of State's office brought me. And I'm assuming they wanted that bit of flexibility for unpredictable, unforeseen circumstances. I don't think private entities should be contributing any money at the state or local level unless we're talking about for hand sanitizers or, advertising when to vote, where to vote, that kind of stuff. So if it's the will of this committee, you just want to ban all of it without an approval by the speaker, the lieutenant governor, I'm certainly fine with that. I would welcome that.
Leader Gant?
Well, I certainly respect our Secretary of State, and we're actually making. I did not know that outside money could come in currently in the current situation now. So this is obviously moving in the right direction. So thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Griffey, you're recognized.
If it's the will of this committee and the committee would feel better with that language, I'll roll this a week and get an amendment to address that issue. Because I don't want our elections to have any appearance of undue influence from anyone, either side. They've got to be fair for everybody, Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever. We don't want the public to feel like, hey, somebody's working an angle on the backside, because that destroys integrity that we all have in our elections. And Tennessee's got great elections, so we just need to keep doing it. This is a measure to try to protect that.
This is your bill, sir. We can't tell you whether to roll it, whether not to roll it. we got a proper motion to roll the bill for Representative Hodges. You said to roll it 1 week. Do I have a second? Got a proper second. Without objection, I'm going to allow Leader Gant to speak again. I just said we won't allow him to speak. That's okay. Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
you're welcome, sir.
I just want to make it clear that I'm not going against our Secretary of State in the current posture or language that he's given you. And I'm open to some conversation. If they want to roll it, that's fine. That doesn't mean I'm for amending it. I just, would like to have clarity on the reason why we have the language this way. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We do have a proper motion in second to roll the bill for 1 week. All those in favor of rolling the bill 1 week, please say aye. Those opposed, no. Bill's rolled 1 week.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee.
Item number 17 on our calendar today is a local bill by Representative Griffey, House Bill 1603. Got a proper motion and a second. We do have an amendment on the bill. Will you please give us your amendment number, sir?
I have amendment number 5679, Mr.
That
Chairman.
is correct. Do I have a motion on the amendment? Proper motion and a second on the amendment. You're recognized on the amendment, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is a private act that Benton County came to me after a 2/3 motion by their county commission wanting to have authority and permission to allow them to look at the books for taxes that are collected on lumber and stuff, pulpwood that's severed, and ask them to retain those records for 3 years so that they could look at it, and would also increase the tax rate, allow them to increase it no more than 15 cents per ton. So that's what it does.
You've heard the discussion on the amendment. Any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on amendment number 5679 going on the bill. Please say aye. Opposed, no. The bill is now amended. You're recognized on the bill as amended.
I renew my motion, Mr. Chairman, unless there's any
Is
questions.
there any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of House Bill 1603 as amended, please say aye. Those opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules. If you want to be recorded as a no, please see the clerk. Item number 18 on the calendar today, House Bill 1604 by Representative Griffey. Do I have a motion? Proper motion and second. Representative Griffey, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I don't believe this one has an amendment, but this is, again, was a private act brought to me by the Benton County Commission after a 2/3 vote and resolution that allows for the collectors and tax and audit of the pulpwood severances. I apologize. The other one was the mineral rights, and this was the pulpwood one. So essentially does the same thing, just allows them to audit and make sure everybody's paying taxes like they're supposed to.
Is there any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1604. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee.
Let me take a point of privilege here just to make sure everybody's aware. With these plastic things up here, I have a hard time seeing you guys and hearing you. So if you want to speak on something, please stand up and do jumping jacks or something so I can see you. All right, item number 19 on the calendar is House Bill 330 by Representative Helton. She's going to present from her chair. We got a proper motion and second. Representative Helton, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. This bill seeks to extend the payback period from 30 to 35 years for the 3 border region cities, Bristol, Eastridge, and Kingsport, under the Border Region Act.
Is there any discussion, any questions on the bill? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of House Bill 330, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to Finance, Ways, and Means. Item 20 today on the calendar is House Bill 854 by Representative Hilton. Do I have a motion? Proper motion and second. Representative Hilton, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. This bill comes from the Tennessee Association of Assessing Officers and makes changes to the Greenbelt Law. This bill does two things. Number one, it changes the date from March 1st to March 15th for Greenbelt applications to be filed with the assessor's office. It gives taxpayers 2 additional weeks to get it filed and helps assessors spread out their workflow. The number two part is the bill deletes a prohibition for a refund when an error has occurred and the taxpayer paid the incorrect amount. This means that a taxpayer will not be stuck after paying an amount in error, and the assessor can refund it, same as they would under the correction of error provisions.
Is there any questions or discussion on the bill? Representative Shaw, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the sponsor, I'm assuming that this helps those who are in the Greenbelt program. It kind of give them a little relief more than put burdens on them. Some of the burdens that's been there, would that be a safe?
Representative Helton,
Yes, that's correct.
All right, thank you.
is there any more discussion or questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 854. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means. Item 21 on today's calendar is House Bill 656 by Chairman Moon. Do I have a motion? Proper motion in second. Chairman Moon, you're recognized on your bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. The Certified Municipal Finance Officers Program began in 2007. It's been very successful. 10 years later, the county Certified Finance Officers Program began. This bill just brings these two together. Currently, the municipalities are required to do 24 hours of continuing education, and the county's only 16. The counties, once they're certified, get a $1,000 a year stipend. The cities do not. This brings them together. It also removes outdated compliance dates when the bill was originally passed in 2007. Basically, I'll entertain any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any questions for Chairman Moon? Seeing none, I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor of House Bill 656, moving on to Finance, Ways and Means, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr.
We will jump back now to our item number 5, Chairman Powers, House Bill 1529. We still do not have the chairman in the room. We have a proper motion and second, but we can't. We're not going to take it up without the sponsor of the bill here, I promise you. I tell you what, we'll roll this to the final hill of the calendar. We have 2 more that I'm presenting, so I will present those 2 and pass those over to the vice chair, and then we'll come back to item number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'll turn myself on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, let me say that I'd like to apologize to our special guest that we have to have the chairman's bills at the heel of the agenda. We're returning to item number 1 on our calendar today. I believe I have a motion and a second. Chairman Crawford on HJR 126.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Wright. This is a simple appointment that the administration has brought to me, and we do these ever so often. But this is for the appointment of Lynn Richardson to the Ethics Commission. I renew my motion.
Thank you for the presentation. Do we have any questions from members?
Somebody speak.
I've been notified we have someone to speak. Lynn Richardson. We're out of session. Could I have your name and who you're with, please?
My name is Lynn Richardson. Can everyone hear me?
3 minutes.
My mic on? Okay, thank you for this opportunity. I'm delighted to be considered for a position on the Ethics Commission. A little bit about my background. I was told before I came to be sure and not tell all of you that I am a former journalist. They said that would be a real problem. So we won't talk about that and the 40 years that I've spent in that field. I come from Elizabethton, Tennessee, in beautiful Carter County. And I am married. I am a grandmother, and I'm still working somewhat as a journalist. It's a wonderful opportunity to work, to have the opportunity to work on a commission that values transparency, fairness, and just making our government incorruptible. It would be an honor to serve in that capacity. I feel like that in my career, I have worked very, very hard to be fair and impartial, and also to be very transparent with what we did in that field. So this would be an opportunity to work from the other side of the fence to ensure that we have a fair and incorruptible government situation. And I would entertain any questions that you have right now.
Thank you, ma'am. First, Representative Calfee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ma'am, before you get my vote, do you know where Cloudland High School is?
Yes, sir, I do.
I found out, and you can't get there from Roane County. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Moon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Richardson, did you work in print or broadcast?
I worked in print. All
Elizabethton
newspaper.
Star?
Elizabethton Star was my last 2 years of service. I was the publisher there.
Outstanding. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions of the presenter? Seeing none, we're back in session. Any further discussion? Chairman Crawford?
I renew my motion.
Question's been called on the bill. Seeing no objection to the question, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The appointment will move on to calendar and rules. Thank you, ma'am. Item number 2 on the calendar today is Joint Resolution 127. Chairman Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Again, this is an appointment that we do periodically for different commissions and committees. This is administration appointment, and it's for Charles M. Traber. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Traber. So this is to the Ethics Commission as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a proper motion and second. We will go out of session to have presentation. We're out of session. Mr. Charles Tobler, would you please give us your name and who you're with? And you have 3 minutes.
My name is Charles M. Crawford, and I'm being considered for reappointment to the Ethics Commission. And before that, I had a long career in state government.
Could I get you to bring the microphone down closer to you? I believe you're on. It's just that it's.
Before being appointed to the Ethics Commission by Governor Haslam, I had left state government after retiring after 42 and a half years of being in corrections on the Board of Parole. And understanding about the ethics, impartiality, and that we must present that, not only practice it, but present it to the people, because the government is of the people. And if they don't have faith in us, then you coming down here and doing all your work doesn't mean anything. And I also remember why we got the Ethics Commission and the things that happened to bring it about. I would just ask for your consideration on this reappointment to the Ethics Commission and open for any questions.
Thank you for your presentation, sir. Are there questions of the presenter? Representative Shaw.
Where you been?
I'm very quiet Representative Shaw, and when you're on the Ethics Commission, you are very quiet.
Representative Love.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Mr. Trauber, thank you so much for your service to the state. Certainly, we are blessed to have you in this position, and so very good to see you again.
Thank you, sir.
Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just to reiterate, when I first looked at the calendar and I saw your name on there, I'm thinking, where has he been? You know, now I understand you've been quiet on the Ethics Committee, that kind of thing. But Mr. Trauber, as he mentioned, has been working in Tennessee government. I would put a number out here, over probably 40 years.
Yeah.
Am I close with that?
42 and a half.
Oh, in so many different capacities and has done so much for the growth and the success of the state of Tennessee, the volunteer state. So we appreciate you, always appreciate you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there other questions of the presenter? Seeing none, we're back in session. What's before us is House Joint Resolution 127. Chairman Crawford, do you have any closing remarks?
I renew my motion, sir.
Question's been called. Seeing no objection to the question, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Moves
Thank
on to
the committee
calendar and
for-
rules.
For your consideration and your courtesies. Thank you very much.
Going back to item number 5, House Bill 1529 by Chairman Powers. This is a local bill. We got a proper motion and second on the bill. You do have an amendment on the bill, sir. Can you please give us that number?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's amendment number 5192.
That is correct. Do I have a motion, proper motion, and second on the amendment? You're recognized on the amendment, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1529 is a local bill that allows the city of Jellicoe to impose a 2% tax subject to local approval on restaurants in their cities that have over $200,000 in sales every year. So it will not affect any small eateries of any kind. All proceeds will be used to retire a debt that was incurred years ago under a prior administration. At that time, the comptroller had to come in and take over the finances of the city and try to restructure their debt. So this tax has a sunset provision when the debt is retired. And with that, I'll take any questions.
We have a question on the amendment. We're ready to vote on amendment 5192 going on the bill. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is now amended. You're recognized on the bill's amendment, sir.
Okay. I've done the explanation. I'll be glad to take any questions. I renew my motion.
Any questions for Mr. Powers? We have previous questions being called. We're ready to vote. All those in favor of House Bill 1529 as amended, please say aye. Those opposed, no. Your bill moves on to Finance, Ways, and Means, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Before we close today, is there any members that have any announcement or personal orders? Representative Love, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to recognize a very special guest who's come to join us today, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. My niece, who is the board chair for Metro Nashville Public Schools, Christian Buggs.
Let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you. We won't hold it against you, who you're kin to. Thank you for being with us today, seriously. This concludes our business for today. If there be no more, we'll stand adjourned.
Anyway, he explained. Yeah.